So today I'm going to finally fix this music box on this Hubert Her clock. Again, probably the third or fourth time that I've had to work on it. Had problems with the hands, the hand nuts, the hands getting too tight. I've had problems with the music box. This clock has been a problem most of its life. But it's top mounted music box, as you can see, and I will trip the hands and you can see what's going on. I don't have the weight on the time, so that's why it starts moving when I do the hands. Here's the half hour. Does fine. It's not supposed to play music on the half hour. Here's the hour. You see the fan turn. It goes into warning on the fan. It pulls it out of the little arm. And then nothing. So the little arm that's supposed to get pulled out falls right back in the hole. When this wire falls away from the fan, the arm is falling right back in the hole. So we're going to have to take it out and get this thing adjusted a little bit where when it comes out it doesn't go straight back in. You can see right there when it came out it went down like it was supposed to onto the little ring that's on there. I don't know why it doesn't want to do it when it's supposed to. I don't know why it didn't play. I mean, when I take the arm out, it's not even wanting to turn. So something's funky in there. Let's try it again. Alright, the arm is out of the hole. There's nothing holding the fan from turning. Why isn't the fan turning? So we gotta look into that. Something's not right. So let me slip this out of here. I took it off the stand and laid it here and just played with it a little bit, you know, just to see. Like when I flip it out, it obviously, this little arm is going down where it's supposed to. It's not back down in the hole. It's waiting to play. That's when it's down in the hole. And when I just bump the end of it, it comes out and slips down. It's no longer falling right back in the hole. So that's how it should be working. But then I looked down here and I saw a washer and an E-clip. And so pretty sure that's off my intermediate wheel, off the front of the movement. So now I need to take, like I was just going to slide this out of here. I've taken it out before without taking everything out, but now I'm going to have to take everything out because why would that come off? You know, like, okay, so now here we go. We got to take the whole thing apart. So I'd say, yeah, that came off the intermediate wheel because this hour pipe should not move nearly that much. Unbelievable. Sometimes you get a very needy clock. I've taken the bellows out. I have taken the hands off. I've unhooked the bird wire and the little man's wire from the front door. This clock has been worked on so many times that when I unbent the bird wire, this was like ready to break off. I could tell one more bend, when I put it back, it would snap off. So I went ahead and took it off. I'm going to have to put a new bird wire on. So let me get the movement out of here. So if you were going to work on this without taking everything out, it is doable. You can slip this chain off, leave it in place, straighten the end of this wire with a wire bender and slip it out of that hole, and this whole little plate will slide out of here by itself. I've done it a couple of times. But apparently it wants more attention this time. It's amazing it didn't come off completely. But yeah, there's nothing on there. The only reason it didn't totally come off was because you have to put the snail and the rack on at the same time on this model because they hang up. So that's the only thing keeping this on is the rack. Oh my gosh, okay. I have not taken all the chains off, the ends and stuff. I'm just going to work with it in the case. So the case will be sitting over here, and I'll be working right here. Let me get something to set this on. I did take the pendulum leader wire off so I could fit it into this round thing here. And I've put the new bird post wire on. They come straight. They come in a package of replacement wires, and you find the one with the little loop that's straight and about this long. I took the other one off. Used it as my guide of where to put a bend in there so it would still be the same length, and put it back on. So now I'm ready to take this little guy off. I've got to take this clip off to get the snail off. Then I'm going to have to set it all up again and make sure it's falling on the right spot on the snail. Oh, this is a pain in the butt. Some clocks you just get tired of working on the same clock. Maybe that's why they gave it away to Goodwill. I don't know. But, alright, so we're off of there. I was checking this also because it was kind of resting up against here. This has to be able to move freely, lift up to lift this rack stop lever, and drop down out of the way to let your warning pin go by. So when it goes into warning, boop, it pops up, blocks the warning pin, and then when it falls down, your cuckoo goes off, but it pulls out far enough to make the music box go off. So it was kind of like touching up against this arm and not dropping all the way down. I've moved it a couple of times. I moved it out that way so it would drop down more. And that's as far down as it's going to go. And then you can see as the hurricane symbol goes around, it lifts it up a short distance for the half hour and a longer distance for the hour, and that's why it pulls it part way and the music box does not go off for the half hour, and then when it lifts it all the way on the hour, it pulls the arm out of the music box to make the music click. That's theoretically what it should be doing, but it's not cooperating. Alright, well, there are other videos on how to put this stuff back on, so I'm not going to video all that, but I am going to put the rack and snail on. I'm going to make sure that when my rack falls, it's falling on the right spot on the 12 o'clock, somewhere over in this area, so that it's got time for the 12:30 and then the 1 o'clock without binding up. You see how it's kind of curved right there? That gives it a little more time to turn before it binds up. Some snails are straight, some are actually angled that way. This one is angled away, so because this 12 o'clock spot is so small, otherwise you would be binding right there before you could get to 1 o'clock. So I like for it to fall to the right hand side of the 12 o'clock spot, and then at 12:30 it's going to be over there, and then at 1 o'clock it's got to go all the way up there. So I'm going to give it as much room as possible. I'm going to be on this far side. I'm going to just be falling off the 11 onto the 12 spot. I hope that was visible. Probably not. But anyway, there's videos on there about how to set it up where it falls right. So I'm not going to record that. I'm just going to get this front stuff back on, and we're going to work on the music box. So this music box is the older style that has a screw here and that little K-shaped arm that does everything. The newer style, this little arm of the K, has a plastic sleeve on it that you can adjust to stop your fan. These kind are stationary. It doesn't do that. You can't adjust it in any other way other than bending it. And you can bend this arm to adjust that arm. So you want this arm with the tab on it poked through the hole on the wheel all the way over. and then see if your fan will turn. And it's hitting against it, so this arm is adjusted to a good spot. And then this is just a fulcrum. This pulls that way, that pulls back that way. This side just is a fulcrum for making this side do its job. So I've got on here, I had to erase my other little marks, they were way over here. I like to mark for a top-mounted music box where this needs to be pulled to. When you get it back up in there and you've got the other arm from the movement on here, it's hard to tell how far it needs to pull it out. And so I mark on here where it is at the resting point when it's locked in there good, and then how far I have to pull it out. And then when I pull it out to that point, notice the arm came out and dropped down where it was supposed to. So I think I just did not have it pulling it far enough out. It was able to pop back in the same hole. If it pulls it out the proper distance, this arm falls away from the hole onto the drum right there, and it lets it play as soon as it comes out of warning when the little wire is out of the way of the fan from the movement. So, I mean, I've tested this. Everything seems to be working like it's supposed to. I've tested it right side up. I've tested it. This is how it will be in the movement like this. Like, yeah, you're working on it like that, and it may work great, but be sure to check it like this too, because this is how it'll be in the movement, upside down. So I've checked it both ways, pulling my little thing, and it seems to be doing what it's supposed to on that arm. See, it fell down right there. It came out of the hole and fell down onto the drum where it's supposed to be. So it's working like it's supposed to. I was afraid maybe this screw wasn't adjusted right. Maybe it was too tight. It's got to be loose enough to let this thing wobble around. And that's the flaw of this design. Like the other design that's got the plastic sleeve also has a slot right there. And so when the tab goes into the hole, it pulls this whole K-shaped thing forward and pulls the sleeve into the fan. And that's what locks it. But this one, if your fan doesn't stop on time, if this little arm of the K doesn't stop your fan right away when the music is done, it will continue to turn with that little tab in the hole right there, and it'll kind of bind on there, and then it won't be able to come out. It'll have too much pressure on it. So you want it to shut off as soon as it drops in the hole. You need to make sure the arm is stopping the fan as soon as it drops in the hole. And that's what I've done, so let's put it back in there and see if it's going to work. So I'm happy with the music box. I've tested it a few times, checked my lines on here, I've checked my screws on here, because this was the original problem, was one of the screws got loose and the chain would fall all the way to the floor because there was no friction. So I'm happy with how everything's set up. It's the little guy's going back in the door after the last note. It was timed where it was going back in the door and slamming on the last note. I didn't like that, so now it plays the whole song, and then the guy goes back in. And I've kind of dry fitted, checked how I think it's going to fit in here, and you can see that this lever right here that activates everything is pretty much straight up from the shut-off line that I've got drawn on my board. You might not be able to see the shut-off line. Shut-off line's right here. Where's my stick? Okay, I'm off camera. Alright. So the arm to shut off the movement is down here, and you come straight up. Here's the little line I made on the board, and so they're pretty much in line. So I'm ready to just slip the movement back out, hook this back on here, which I can't do very easily with one hand. There we go, we got it on there. So now we're ready to slide all of this in there together. Put that little wire in this little U-shaped thing right there. And I think we're ready to slide down in there. Alright, so now just got to get it screwed back down and we will test it. When I'm looking right now, I can see my little line is right lined up with the pencil line I made is right lined up with that arm. So this should pull far enough over on the hour to make it go off. But if it's adjusted too far that way, this long arm, it's going to pull it over too far and activate it on the half hour too. So that's what we got to test when I get it all screwed back together. So with it back in there, you can see that this activator arm that's from the movement is right on my line, but it's also right in the corner right there. You need a little bit of play for it to shut off properly. It is pulling it all the way to the other black line up there, but it's trying to pull even further than that. And it's playing on the half hour and the hour, which it's not supposed to. So on the half hour, it works like the music box is supposed to on the hour. On the hour, it tries to pull it even further, and I found that this little arm was rubbing against this wheel right here and kind of locking things up. So this adjustment of this arm is pretty important. So I'm going to take it back to about right here and test and see how. I'll show you what it's doing right now before I adjust anything. That's the half hour. Everything's working like it should, except that this clock doesn't run on the half hour. You would run out of chain before the day was over if you kept it this way. Okay, now here's the hour. Watch how far that brass arm pulls the little wire over to the right, and then it's in warning. It's still moving further. It's popped the locking lever out of the wheel, and it's sitting on the drum like it's supposed to. But now it's trying to go even more. I've got a lot of pressure on the minute hand trying to turn it. It probably would stop my movement because this can't go any more to the right, and it still is trying to lift what it needs to on the movement. So notice that with it pulling that hard, well, it hasn't been playing. Everything bumped just right where it played this time. But this arm, the little K-shaped lever on the music box, was mashed up so tight against this wheel that it would keep it from moving and playing once this little stop governor piece would move out of the way. So anyway, the only adjustment I have left is just to straighten this arm up a little bit and give a little slack between the end of it and the elbow on the wire, and it should be playing right. Alright, you can see there's a little gap there now. I didn't do it on camera because I can't hold the camera and show you at the same time, but now there's a little gap between this arm and the end of the elbow. You have to hold this with pliers right here. You don't want this piece moving on the front of your movement. So hold it with pliers here and then just push this end of it whichever way you need to. So let's see what it does now that I've put that little gap in there. See if it's the right amount of gap. That's the half hour. Music did not play. Perfect. And now it pulls it over more to that line. And the little arm is holding my fan. It's in warning. And it didn't do anything. Because the little locking arm is right back in the hole, it looks like. It should have pulled it out to there, and it didn't quite pull it out far enough. So I got to go a little bit further back to the right with this arm, so that it pulls it another millimeter or so out, so that this little locking arm comes out of the drum far enough that it falls down onto the drum and doesn't go back in the hole. So if it doesn't pull it far enough, it's just going to go boop, boop, right back in the hole. Shut it off. So let me move it one more time. Alright, I believe it's adjusted right. So watch right here, this arm. Here's the end of it, where the little bent over piece goes through the wheel on the drum to stop and lock the music box when the song is done. I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can. But anyway, it's right here. And watch right here how much it moves. So it should pull it out a little bit and drop back in on the half hour and pull it out far enough that it can drop down onto the drum for the hour. Sorry, I keep getting it off camera. This should pull over far enough that it pulls this little end of the arm out of the drum and drop back in on the half hour and out of the drum and down that away for the hour. So let's see what it does. Okay, it fell back in. It cuckooed one time. That was the half hour. Now we're doing the hour. A little bit further pull. You can see it drop down. So we should get it to play when the third's done. There it goes. I feel like these are a lot trickier designed than the newer ones that kind of slide on that screw. This one has to flex on the screw, and everything's got to be set just right for it to flex enough. So anyway, I hope this helped. Got my cuckoo up and running again, so that's good. Just got to put my hands in bellows back. But anyway, leave me some comments. Thanks for watching.